Good morning, everybody. This is Eric again, and we're back on this quarter panel repair today. I'm just getting out here and taking a look at it in the morning. Looks pretty nice. I had a couple of questions from Jim Van Riper about one of which was using a 16th inch piece of piano wire, and I was confused when I read that at first. I'm like, because typically we use that stuff to weld on corners and things like that, and I was like, what are you talking about? And I think, correct, I could be wrong, but I think what you were saying was use something curved to try and measure this edge here instead of a flat edge, as I was saying yesterday. And then it was funny, I came out here and looked at my bench, and this thing came with the what the heck's that thing called? Lost the box. The stud. I'm so blank today. Anyway, the tool I was using yesterday, that stud puller thing, whatever. Anyway, it came in that box, and I was like, what the heck is this? And it didn't dawn on me what it was for. And I was like, oh, I think I know what I can use that for. So I'm like, this is what you were talking about. Use something that's not flat to try and get an idea of what's going on. Sorry, I can't give you a better angle of this, but since this is flexible, you've got a straight edge if you want to use a straight edge. So you can see, where's that low spot right there? Well, it's still a high spot if you look at the crown that way. Interesting. But from this way, it's not. The light's not on this side of the car, so it's a little tricky, but so you can see with a straight edge, you see that gap there, maybe? But if you turn it on its side, you can actually put a little crown in it and then get a better sense. I don't exactly know how much crown, because you can put as much crown in as you want by bending this thing, so something like that, I think. So, anyway, I'm gonna give that a try today. So I think what I want to do is I want to put fiberglass in here over this spot, because this is going to be a little thicker than I would like still. And I want the strength of the fiberglass, especially back here where it's this big low spot right there. So I'm going to build this part up in here with fiberglass. I want to get that on first. And then the bottom of this thing is just going to be just standard filler down here. So I'm going to just gently block this real quick to see where the high spots are, like I can see one right there, and tap them down a little bit before I put the filler on. And the goal is not going to be to get this perfect down on the bottom, because it wasn't perfect from the factory there either, because this is where the spot welds would have been, but just kind of down to this edge right here, right where it wraps under there. If I can get it pretty smooth down to that point, I'll be happy. So I'm just going to look for high spots along that edge and tap them down and make sure there's no glaring high spots up and through here. So first order of business, let's get the fiberglass on there. Okay, fiberglass is on. It's a little chunky back here in the corner, but that is a really low spot right there. So I want to get that on pretty solid there. We'll sand this off here in a little bit, and now I'm going to go ahead and block this gently here to find the high spots. Okay, so I just hit that real quick there, and there I think I already busted through the metal, just touching it that gently. So I'm just going to tap these areas down a little bit with the hammer, try and give myself some room here. Alright, we've gone over the fiberglass there, and it looks pretty good. There's still a few low spots and stuff in here, but this is generally in the right area. So I'm going to go ahead now and cover this baby with filler. Let me show you what we have for that. Bought this a while ago. I haven't cracked it open, so ready to party with this stuff. So we'll see how well this works. Alright, there we go. Stuff's a lot thinner fiberglass filler. I've not used it before, so hopefully I put the right amount of hardener in it. Squeeze it on there good. Goes down here. So there is a low spot right there I gotta fill. Stuff already feels like it's kicking, so I'm gonna work quick here. There's a low spot right there. Looks like I've mixed a good amount. That's nice. Okay, it's looking pretty good. When I said I thought it was starting to kick, it obviously wasn't. Just felt like it. Spot in through there. Leave that be there. Actually, there's a little dent. I guess I filled it already. There's a little dent up there somewhere. All right, so that's how much we have left. It's pretty good. All right, so while that Bondo's curing up there, figured I'd start working on this rocker here. And one thing I noticed on here, this one has this piece of metal on here. I don't think this is the sill plate. It's so obliterated, it's hard to tell. I seem to remember them looking a lot nicer than that. You know, the Fisher plate that goes here. My car does not have this. I was wondering if you Camaro guys, is this something you have on your car? Or what? I don't know. Anyway, let me know. Thanks. Just in time for lunch. That guy or gal, just stopped in her tracks. Just running down the road and saw me hit the brakes. Go! Alright, so I tried to do some work on this thing, ended up butchering it pretty hard. Obviously not very good at getting the spot welds out. That piece came out okay. The only one. This thing got annihilated and punched a hole in the rocker there. But I'm trying. I'm hoping that the edge here will be a little easier, but we'll see. These, rather than using the spot weld cutter, I was trying to use the spot weld cutter everywhere. And then here I just used a drill since I needed to put a hole through it anyway. So I just drilled them out because I don't care about what happened to the panel behind it. So that worked okay. Okay, so anyway, back to the matter at hand. This has been cooking for about half an hour now, so we're ready to sand this down. So I'm gonna hit this with some 80 and start trying to contour this and see what we got. Okay, so I'm gonna be using this block here, which is a little bit flexible, and some 80 grit. So this first part here is we just try and knock the high spots off and then kind of get an idea where we are. I'm going to work on that for a while. You don't need to watch. So I must say this Rage Ultra does sand really nicely. See, I haven't had to work too hard on it all, and it's coming down real nice. So I'm liking that stuff. Alright, so after sanding that down, it's in pretty good shape, I would say. Look at that edge down there along the bottom. Looks real nice. What I've done here on the bottom is sand this kind of as much as I feel comfortable with, where I'm starting to get breakthroughs down along the edge. So I want to make this as thin as possible. I don't really want to expose a bunch of high spots and things here because I'm not trying to work this too hard. There is one high spot right there. I'll tap that down a little bit. A couple high spots here, but I'm not really sure I should do anything with those because, you know, this whole area is really wonky back here. This feels pretty good over here. It's just a little bit iffy, not too bad. This in through here, you can see this big high spot running across here. I don't want to tap that down because this part of the panel is probably the only part of the panel that's actually straight. And then this is from here up, is from the weld, and from here down. So I'm going to kind of leave this the way it is. I think that's okay. If you have listened to it, still sounds like a panel, so the filler's not very thick here. You can see the stuff poking through in a lot of places, so it's a little thicker than I'd like, but I don't think it's too thick. So this is done with that. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go over the whole thing with a skim coat of filler again, and try and fill in this low spot right here. So that's not a skim coat, that's fill that part up and then skim the rest of it, and hopefully that will do it. So let's do it. Alright, I think I put too much hardener in it this time, so I'm going to try and work fast. Mix enough either. Not nearly enough here. Maybe it's okay. I don't need that much more back in here. Let's see. I think I'm out of luck though. said this was going to be a skim coat. I lied. This is going to be more of a fill coat, I think. And we'll have to come back next time with the skim coat on. That didn't mix enough. I think that's going to do it. Alright, that's done. Same procedure again. Cover the whole thing with 80. See where we end up. Alright, let me show you the technique that I'm using here. You guys can tell me if I'm doing this right or not. So there's still, you can see probably the dark spots in here, so these are low spots. I'm trying to sand all of this thing down to that level. I don't know if you can see in the video or not, but I'm putting a pretty good bend in this sanding block here to try and match whatever crown on that panel is supposed to be there. Whew, what a mess. Alright, I'm just going to keep working that for a bit. It's getting pretty close. Hopefully I don't have to put any more layers of Bondo on there, other than maybe a skim coat. Alright, I think I'm going to call that done for the main filler. I'm going to go ahead and put some glaze on it now, just to try and fill in these little, these very small low spots, and there's a few pinholes here and there. So we'll go ahead and get that done, and hopefully when all is said and done we'll get another coat of epoxy on it tonight and see how it looks. Did we do a good job or no? Alright. Alright, so while I have been letting the filler dry, I've been working on this thing, and I got it most apart. I guess there's some more stuff up in here I need to get out. I thought I had everything, but This is what I ended up doing. So I drilled those out with the spot weld cutter from the back, so I left this thing mostly intact. This one you couldn't really get it from the back very well, so I just drilled it out with a 1/4 inch 5/16 bit. Mostly okay. A couple spots got pretty chewy, but I think it'll be alright. It is thicker metal, so the plug welds can be a bigger diameter without blowing through as much, I think, so I think it'll be okay. But anyway, I thought I could get it apart here with everything I had off, but nope. There's more to do. Anyway, I'm done with that for today. Back to the filler. Alright, we are done. It's not a perfect surface, but I'm only going to put this in primer now, and down the road when I do the rest of the quarter panel I'll put high build primer and on it, all that stuff, so I'm not going to worry about that right now. So what did I do? I went over this with 80 grit. Lesson learned, the glazing putty does not sand anywhere near as well as the Ultra, so use it sparingly. Took a long time to get that stuff off. But anyway, I got all that down, and I went over the whole thing with 220 on the DA. It's nice and smooth. There's still a few scratches in it, but like I said, it's going to have high build on it someday. So I think that's good. You can't really see much right now. I'm going to go ahead and put the epoxy on it, and then we'll get a good look at it and see what it looks like, nice and smooth and glossy. I know it's not perfect, but I think it's good enough. There's some trouble areas back here, but this is where the bumper is, so I think that's going to be alright. This body line here, I'm not quite sure that's correct yet, so come back to that later. I think it's good enough though. So let's go ahead and get some epoxy on it. You can see there, I got a few little fish eyes or something in it, which I've never seen before. Not too bad though, it looks pretty good. Wherever the filler was So it could be what Roger had that one time with some pinholes in it. Don't know. But oh man, look at that thing. That is pretty darn straight. I don't see a thing really on that line right there. You can see that reflection along the panel there. Pretty nice. Along the bottom there. That's pretty tasty. One coat of high build primer and that thing's golden. I think right here, I think I just sanded that a little too aggressively right there and created a low spot. It's really hard with all the contours in there trying to sand it without creating low spots and high spots and all kinds of problems. This was that big trouble spot right there. This spot there, you see. That's pretty tasty. I can't complain about that. Gorgeous. Alright, that's it. I'm getting out of here. It's fumey in here. That's going to do it for this panel. Like I said, we'll pick up the rest of it when we finish off the rest of the quarter panels. We're just going to leave that for now, but that's pretty darn sweet. Take it easy, everybody.